I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending September the 28th, where feeder cattle ended the weekly trading session unevenly steady after opening on a higher note, which has continued after the last several weeks, but then ending lower after the market kind of changed at midweek there, mostly because of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange cattle losses right there on Tuesday, where abruptly investment funds jerked money from the live cattle futures and took some contracts nearby and a little bit further out down the limit, which was a little bit unexpected, or a lot unexpected, and really didn't see any fundamental reason why that happened, other than the market opened up at a trickle down, and then as the money started being pulled out, it just went down hard there. But really changed the current cash feeder cattle market immediately. I mean, just, you know, on Wednesday it was a whole different deal, and maybe even late Tuesday it was a different deal, as these guys buying yearling feeders have got to try to keep those things hedged if they can, and that's been a struggle already. They have had a little bit of relief here as the corn has been creeping down the last couple weeks as we really got into harvest good, but then on Friday here the corn market was up the limit on nearbys and took a lot of that away, and it's back over $7.50 a bushel. But basically the late week losses were all due to the board going down on Tuesday's close. Calf markets were a week to $4 lower throughout the week, with the biggest and full extent of the loss down in the southeast, but calf markets were generally weaker throughout the country this week, and most of that was due to the weather. We're really getting into the typical fall weather patterns right now, where we've got cool nights and really chilly early mornings turning into hot days, and that takes a toll on elementary school children, and it sure takes a toll on unweaned calves, especially after they've been shipped and dumped into an environment with a lot of other calves from a lot of other different places, and it's just a lot of stress on those cattle. And as hard as they work to try to make products to take care of that, calves are going to get sick in the fall when you commingle them. And guys that have been putting those calves together the last several weeks are really getting into that now. A lot of them got sick pens that are really starting to get full, and they just want to back off a little bit right now and try to get some of those calves straightened up before they order any more of them. And also a lot of these guys plant their own wheat, and we had that big front move across the southern plains this week and give some much needed moisture in a lot of places that plant hard red winter wheat, you know, even from eastern New Mexico all the way up here to eastern Kansas. There's just a good general rain and some big rains in a few places. You know, they had rains as far south as Del Rio, Texas, and coming up all through there, the Texas Panhandle, and a lot of Oklahoma, and this is going to allow a lot of wheat to be planted, and it's not going to plant itself. You know, they've got to get out there and get that wheat planted. Wheat's not a hard crop to farm, but they've been waiting at the edge of the field. They've got some moisture now. They can put that stuff in the ground and get some warm days, and it won't be long before they'll have a pretty good stand of wheat, and you can turn cattle out here, you know, by November, 1st of November. But you know, just everybody's taking a break on the calves right now. Now both calves and yearlings were not as much lower in the northern plains this week as they were in other places. Northern plains has been kind of cool for the last few weeks, and has been more consistently cool with the weather. Not waiting on a wheat crop up here. This guy's got some damaged corn. A lot of them are getting done harvesting, ready to buy some calves, because most everybody believes that the fall run is going to be much smaller than normal, and they want to go ahead and get those calves before everybody gets in a scramble before we get any later in the year when we have hopes of a higher fed cattle market, and that should carry through with feeders too. But this week here, Tuesday, just up the road at Maryville, Missouri, at the United Producers Market, they celebrated 25 years in business right there in Maryville, and had a customer appreciation day and a pretty good sale, and over 500 head in the 8 to 900 pound top quality steers, averaged 861 at 145.05, and that's a pretty good market right there. In some other places out west, it's still dry, in the Dakotas and Wyoming and Montana, and this week, early in the week, Northern Livestock had a video, and the feeder cattle and calves sold very well. But what was kind of a shocker and real disappointing was on some of the replacement females, and a lot of these big, well-known, long time in business ranches are selling fancy bred heifers, some of them even AI bred, and got a lot of weight to them, for as little as $1,200 to $1,350 a head. And that may still sound like quite a bit of money, but it's really not as high as feeder cattle, as high as calves are selling, and not for the quality of livestock that they're offering there. And maybe a little surprised to see those ranches take that, but they have no other choice, and they've got to take that price for them, and it's really a bargain for somebody that has something to feed these things. But fed cattle market this week was $3 lower, still from the pressure from Tuesday's board, and sold at 123 live in most places. The dress market was $4 to $5 lower, from 190 to 191. Didn't sell a whole lot of fats anywhere. Could be pulling some previously captive supplies, from next month's contracts, but not a lot of cattle really sold this week because sellers just resisted that market. That's your regional weighted averages this week. North Central states, a 7 to 800 pound steer cost you $147.27 compared to $148.10 last week and $136.43 a year ago. Southeast, 5 to 600 pound steer cost you $142.69 compared to $143.33 last week and $124.69 a year ago. That wraps up your market for this week. Check out our website, more market information at marketnews.usda.gov, and from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri. We'll talk to you next week.